You ever meet someone who can never admit they're wrong? Even when evidence stares them in the face, they twist facts or attack you personally. Psychology says this isn't stubbornness, it reveals how their mind works. Let's break down the science behind people who always need to be right. 1. Fragile self-esteem masked as confidence. Research from the University of Michigan shows people who need to be right have defensive self-esteem. On the surface, they appear confident, but underneath, their ego is fragile. Admitting a mistake feels like admitting they're worthless. So, they never admit being wrong. It's not strength, it's fear. 2. The illusion of control. Psychologists link the need to always be right with locus of control theory. People with external locus believe life happens randomly, but those who need to be right cling to internal locus so tightly they can't accept being incorrect. Because being wrong means losing control, and that terrifies them completely. 3. Cognitive dissonance avoidance.
When reality conflicts with beliefs, most people experience cognitive dissonance, that uncomfortable feeling when ideas clash. Smart people resolve this by updating beliefs, but people who always need to be right do the opposite. They reject evidence, blame others, or rewrite history. Psychologists call this confirmation bias on steroids. They only see what supports their view completely. 4. Low emotional intelligence. Studies from Yale found people who can't admit mistakes lack emotional regulation skills. They take disagreement as personal attack. When challenged, their amygdala goes into overdrive. Logic shuts down. Emotion takes over. That's why conversations become arguments. They're not debating ideas. They're fighting for survival. 5. Narcissistic traits. Research shows a strong link between always needing to be right and narcissistic patterns. These individuals see themselves as superior. Admitting error would shatter that self-image, so they gaslight, manipulate, deflect constantly.
It's not about truth, it's about maintaining their inflated sense of self-worth. 6. Fear-based thinking. At the core, the need to always be right stems from deep insecurity. These people learned early that mistakes equal punishment or shame, so their brain developed a defense: never be wrong, ever, even when it costs relationships and reality itself completely. 7. The empathy deficit. People who always need to be right struggle with perspective-taking abilities. Brain imaging shows reduced activity in regions responsible for empathy when confronted with opposing views. They can't see things from another angle. Their worldview is rigid, black and white. Anyone who disagrees isn't just wrong, they're the enemy in their mind. 8. Intellectual insecurity. Research from Cornell found people who always need to be right often doubt their intelligence deep down. This is why they overcompensate. They argue loudly, interrupt constantly, dismiss opinions entirely. It's a performance to convince themselves they're smart. But truly intelligent people ask questions, admit uncertainty, and grow. 9. The debate confusion. People who always need to be right can't distinguish between discussion and attack. Research from Stanford shows they enter conversations in combat mode. Their goal isn't to learn, it's to win. They use fallacies and attacks constantly because admitting they might be wrong feels like losing identity. 10. Relationship destruction. Studies show people who always need to be right destroy relationships systematically. Partners feel unheard, friends feel invalidated, colleagues feel disrespected. Over time, people stop sharing opinions, not because they agree, but it's not worth the fight. These individuals often end up isolated, wondering why. 11. Apology avoidance.
Brain scans reveal when people who always need to be right face mistakes, the anterior cingulate cortex shows reduced activity. Their brain doesn't register errors normally. Saying sorry requires acknowledging wrongdoing, and their neural pathways avoid that. 12. Moving goalposts constantly. Ever notice how these people change arguments mid-conversation? When one argument fails, they shift to another. When facts prove them wrong, they attack the source. When logic fails, they claim misunderstanding. You're dealing with survival mode thinking. 13. Teaching moment rejection. Research shows people who always need to be right miss learning opportunities. Every mistake is growth. Every correction is a gift. But they see attack. This stunts development. While others evolve, they stay stuck repeating errors, blaming others constantly. Psychologists link this to fixed versus growth mindset. They believe intelligence is fixed and must be defended, not developed through experience. 14. The superiority complex. At its core, always needing to be right is superiority built on inferiority. These individuals believe they're smarter, more informed, more logical than everyone.
But this belief is fragile. One crack and the structure collapses, so they double down, defend positions even they know are wrong. 15. The cost of being right always. Psychology reveals the long-term cost clearly. Professional stagnation, no one wants to work with someone who can't take feedback, ever. Personal loneliness, authentic connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires admitting imperfection, always. Mental rigidity leads to outdated thinking and poor decisions daily. The irony is profound. By trying to always be right, they guarantee they'll often be wrong. Because wisdom doesn't come from never making mistakes. It comes from recognizing them, learning from them, moving forward. So next time you encounter someone who can never admit they're wrong, remember, you're not dealing with confidence. You're witnessing deep insecurity playing dress up. Real intelligence isn't about being right. It's about being open. If you're fascinated by the psychology behind human behavior, decision-making patterns, and emotional intelligence, subscribe now, because understanding why people act the way they do is the first critical step to navigating them wisely and effectively in all aspects of your life.